I guess I'll just open it up to discussion. I do want to say, though, I certainly appreciate the progression I see from 6th then to 7th and then 7th to 8th. You know, in particular, at 7th grade, you're not asking about tone, but then at 8th grade, you're bumping up that rigor to the concept of tone. So I guess I'm gonna open it up, and maybe we could start with 8th grade first and kind of work our way back and see what we're finding out.
Author's purpose is still a struggle. I
In
tied
terms
that in
of
with
theme?
Yeah, I tied that
Okay.
in with theme just because a lot of times author's purpose
Sure.
and theme are a lot connected. So I thought they really struggled with the author's purpose, and then once again, sometimes it wasn't just so much not getting the theme; it was citing the evidence that shows it.
I agree with you on that, yeah. They had a good statement of theme, but nothing from the article or story that proved it. you know,
Or it was
so-
reversed; they had great evidence of theme, but then didn't give it.
Yeah. Mine are still
Yeah.
struggling with title and how ransom or red chief, and they talk about one
Yep.
aspect of it, and they talk about the fact, red chief or ransom, but they wouldn't talk about both of them.
Or picking up on the irony.
Picking up, yes. So struggling even with just finding the title and its importance.
Or also, getting kind of a more universal theme. They kind of wanted to stick a little close to the story yet. Like, as an example, don't kidnap a naughty kid. You know, they
Yeah.
sort of.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they
I
got
mean,
that.
that's probably
Don't
not word
trust
for
anyone.
I
word.
learned not to kidnap people.
Don't
But
trust
yeah,
everyone.
yeah, that's and not like I don't know, crime doesn't pay, something along those lines. They're a little too tight to the story, and then when they try to explain the next part how it's universal, obviously that doesn't quite work.
It doesn't work, yeah. I think this, great.
That's okay, let's just open it up here, I think that
Okay.
just works better.
You know, we had one of those questions in the 7th grade test, kind of like, make connections, based upon the theme, make a connection. And they didn't do well.
I'm
with
still
that.
finding that mine are really vague on like to make
Yeah.
a
So that's
specific-
an
well,
area we have to focus on,
sometimes
definitely.
my friends and I fight or something like they're real
Mhm.
still very vague on connecting it with specific examples, real life history, whatever we're looking at.
I had about half that did okay, and then I had half that, really, they've got that to work on yet, so I definitely need to.
So
Make
let's
more
go back,
connections.
about 50-50 on what?
On the connection with
The
that
connection.
theme to your
Number
own
12.
life.
Connection, theme to your own life.
Right.
And you're about 50-50?
Mm-hmm, roughly,
My 7th graders did
and that's 7th grade.
worse. My 8th graders did better, which
Right.
they
Okay.
should be able to do.
Weren't too bad.
Mhm.
Okay. You saw better at the 8th grade, or
Mm.
not you?
No,
That's
not,
all right.
not as much. I don't know if it was the particular story that they just kind of didn't connect to personally, or I don't know. But we talked about babysitting naughty kids, but they're just they didn't get a lot of detail in their connection. That actually went better with my 7th graders. They at least connected with the idea of friends, and sometimes we fight and we can still be friends. But I still want them to have more detail and examples. Overall.
From the text.
From
No.
their, like, if they're
Oh.
going to connect it to something in their life, they're still very vague.
Mhm.
Sometimes my friends and I don't get along. Just a little more connection, a little more reference to the story.
So once again, even citing evidence within your own.
Yeah, I think
connection.
overall
Mhm.
it's citing evidence. That's the big
Right.
concept, that they're
Yeah.
still.
I can't remember who it was. I had one who was really good. I said, when we're very sports minded, and when we play, we give it our best. And even if, we're on opposite teams, we still come out of it and are friends afterwards. But that one, there was one or two that made
Yeah, a
that kind
little
of
bit.
reference. So they're starting to make a good connection,
Yeah.
but it's not there yet.
Ricky
So
talked
that's
about wrestling somebody, in a duel or something. Somebody from Hillsboro, so he was wrestling my friend, but just developing the idea more.
Well, at sixth grade, that's one thing that we need to revisit. We use the question, how is this theme? They had to determine a theme and how is it relevant to their life. They're confused on vocabulary. Relevant, what does that mean? And it's very general, like you're saying, just, well, sometimes, or my mom and dad, we got lost once. You know, but they don't include anything else.
The connection.
Yeah, or they didn't, yeah, they don't elaborate on that. Yeah, so.
They still, I agree with exactly what she's saying, is even when you say, how do you determine a theme? Well, you read the book. They just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to read it, you know, I mean, they keep it really simplified and they've got the idea that it's important. And then when it comes to citing it, when we did it with the book that we read together and we talked about all the different themes with where the red fern grows and everything that was in there, they were able to take one of those and make some pretty good connections. But when they had to do that independently, they weren't able to do that. Makes sense?
I think the sixth graders this year, because they've had this now a little bit more than the previous years, a lot better at this point, stage of the game. Like, how do you determine a theme? Well, character's action, what do they do, say, or think, the setting. So, I mean, are things repeated? So, I mean, they're getting a better grasp.
And overall, stronger this year, you know, now that we've been at it for a while. Just
And I think the seventh graders, you know, having the better readers, I have to do much less instruction. Review, yes, you know, reminder, more examples. But instruction, you guys have done a good job.
Yeah.
So throughout the year, I think whatever you're doing, don't stop. It's working.
yeah, this year
So-
was so much stronger than last year.
Yes, definitely.
And as long as we're using the same verbiage as far as,
I think that helps.
you know, what are the
Mhm.
4 things that you can look for to find the theme, you know, and everybody's using the same thing. I still, even with my classes, I still have to go over and over and over again. I know, like with the 8th grade, when we they read Ransom of Red Chief, 2 of them I know could read and actually get something out of it. I ended up having to model again and actually read it to the other ones. And then that's when I pulled in the 6th grade module, and I was able to apply that to students that were at a lower reading level too. So I just was able to use everybody's depending on which students I had in my classroom and where they were at.